The Calgary Police Service is investigating a homicide that occurred in the northwest community of the Hamptons. At approximately 3 a.m. on Sunday, May 12, 2019, police were called to a residence in the 100 block of Hampstead Close Northwest after a man in his 40s was found deceased inside the home. Evidence at the scene has led investigators to believe that this was a targeted homicide. An autopsy was performed on Monday, May 13th, and the victim has been identified as Bikramjit DHINDSA, 49, of Calgary. Police believe that 4 unknown offenders entered the above residence and targeted the victim while he was inside. It is believed an altercation occurred between the suspects and the victim. A short time later, the suspects were captured on CCTV leaving the area in a smaller 4-door SUV driven by a 5th suspect. Images of these suspects can be found on the City of Calgary newsroom. CCTV also reveals that while the suspects were in the area, other vehicles were seen entering the same community and may have witnessed the offenders leaving the above address that's described. Investigators are asking anyone with information of this incident to contact the police non-emergency line at 403-266-1234, the homicide tip line at 403-428-8877. Tips can also be left anonymously by contacting Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or online. I'll now take some questions.
Victim known to police prior to this?
Like any homicide, we don't discuss whether victims are known or not to police.
Can you describe the condition of the home at all? What investigators found in there?
Well, obviously, through forensic evaluation, which has now been concluded, as far as what was actually found in the residence, we'll be keeping that close to our chest as we're early in the investigative process.
Can you say it's like was it a violent scene in there?
Well, we're dealing with a homicide, so that certainly would be violent. As far as cause of death, we won't be releasing that at this time.
So obviously releasing a lot of images to share with the public. What do you hope people do when they see those pictures?
We know that there are people within the community who know who's responsible for this homicide. We also know that the people that committed this homicide know their involvement. And like any homicide, people have different levels of involvement. We are really hoping that someone within the community or someone who was involved in this event contacts us.
What kind of suggests it's targeted?
Sorry?
What suggests that it's a target?
So based on review of the CCTV footage from numerous residences, businesses, other forms of media, we know that the suspects targeted this residence.
Any indication of gang or drug crimes?
Certainly, in our investigative process, there are certainly hallmarks of organized crime related to this homicide.
We heard that the victim was a renter at that location. Can you guys confirm that? And if so, are the homeowners cooperating with the police?
We have been working with the landlord, and this was our first response as far as the police go to this residence.
So this wasn't like a home invasion gone wrong. This was a targeted attack. Did the victim and the attackers know each other?
We're early on in the investigative process, so I can't get into to motive. But what I can say, and I just want to reiterate, there are people in the community who know what happened, they know who's responsible, and we need to hear from those people.
Do you think there's any connections between Hampton and Taradale?
Obviously, they're very early on in their investigation in Taradale. We are working, obviously, with investigators in that homicide. We're working with other investigators in other homicides that have occurred recently, and we are working with the police from the RCMP and Vancouver into some of the violence that's occurring in the Lower Mainland to see if there's any connections to Calgary.
There have been quite a few of these types of incidents. There's been a few homicides recently, some other incidents like this. Can you speak to this kind of seeming rise in this crime right now?
Well, I can certainly say that we are certainly concerned about the violence in our community, and that's why it's so important for people within the community to come forward, because the only way that we're going to be successful in stopping this violence is by working with people in the community to provide us information.
So, just to sort of to beat the dead horse, but are you trying to find possible connections between this specific homicide and other homicides that have occurred here, Lower Mainland, etc.?
that would be a natural process in any investigation to see if this homicide relates to any other homicides in our community or other communities.
Is there any indication about any drug activity or organized crime, gang activity?
Certainly, from what we know right now, there certainly is the hallmarks of organized crime is certainly something that we're looking at.
What are those hallmarks?
Obviously, when you have a targeted homicide that appears to be planned, we are speaking about some level of organized crime and sophistication.
Obviously, organized crime is a concern at any level, but when it starts to get violent, lives are starting to be taken, how much more does that increase the urgency to kind of crack the case?
Well, obviously, we do feel the pressure, and our job as the police service is to ensure public safety, and that's why we want people in the community to work with the police. And the faster we can bring resolution to this case and some of the other outstanding homicides, the better it will be.
Do you have any idea about his relatives, friends, family members, the victims?
Yeah, we are certainly speaking to family and friends of the victim and the victim's family.
And have you shown them the CCTV footage?
Sorry?
The CCTV footage that
What I can say is that we're directly in contact with the family on a regular basis.
Should the general population have any worries?
This was a target attack. It's not random. So obviously when we have, for example, this morning's homicide occurred in public, that is a concern. But right now, as far as people living in the community of in the Hamptons where this occurred, no, this was a targeted attack. Okay, thank you.
Could I get you to reread the statement?
Sure.
Thank you.
John, maybe I'll let other
While
people
everybody
finish.
else is here, can you answer any questions about the Taradale homicide investigation?
No, but I can tell you is that the autopsy in relation to that incident is occurring right now, and that likely the homicide unit of the police will be providing a media availability tomorrow on that one.
And how about the double homicide that happened about a month ago on 36th Street in that bar parking lot? Is there anything?
I don't have any updates on that one.